All right, so we're going to be going over all the new buffed characters coming out in 3.4, that being Jingliu, Blade, Kafka, and Silver Wolf. What we're going to be doing is we are also going to be doing a tier list on the 4 characters and who I think is going to be the best out of the 4. We have the original information right here for the 4 characters and look at the damage multipliers, and then we're going to be looking at the brand new damage multipliers on all of that. But first we have to go over what they do now. So starting out with Kafka is that her skill is going to be triggering dot on all targets now, which is actually very cool. So after the buffs, Kafka's skill would trigger dot on all enemies instead of the primary target. Each cast of her skill will result in more damage thanks to the multiple of dot triggers. So obviously before it would just trigger on the single target and then just do AoE damage on the adjacent enemies, but not trigger their dot damage as well. So that's actually huge. I really like that. Now, her talent now triggers on any kind of attack. Kafka's talent now triggers on any attack made by her allies instead of just her basic attack. This improves her efficiency in applying shock to all enemies. So we have an image right here, but obviously is applicable to every Nihility character in that when they do a damage to anybody, any attack, that could be a skill, that could be a basic attack, that could be an ultimate, Kafka is going to be applying the shock debuff on them as well. Really like that as well. That's actually pretty big because that enables Kafka to do more damage just in general because of her skill being able to, affect everybody as well. Very good buffs about all of that. The bonus ability refreshes talent trigger count. Okay, so Kafka's Thorn bonus ability will now refresh her talent's follow-up attack and allow it to trigger all dot effects on the target, improving damage and shock consistency. We can see here is that your follow-up attack gains 1 trigger count. The talent's follow-up attack can cause all dot debuffs the target is currently under to immediately deal damage equal to 80% of the original damage, but it's going to be doing all of the dot damage, not just her own debuff. So very good. I do like Kafka a lot. I think that's actually very good buffs for her. Now the trajectory of Nihility just in general, I'm not really 100% sure on. Blade in Jingliu, honestly, I'm probably most excited to see just because of the fact that at least with Blade he's dealing with HP related stuff, so Castrovis team, so we'll see. Abilities deal damage based on max HP. Instead of having a portion of his scaling based on attack, all of Blade's abilities will now deal damage based on his max HP. I actually think that's very good. Because just in general, that's how people were building him, was just HP build. And trying to get the attack rolls when you can just be getting HP rolls and just helping him further. I think that's a good update as well for him. The Hellscape state improves Blade's aggro value. After the buffs, Hellscape will improve Blade's aggro and allow him to be targeted more by enemies. This allows him to build more stacks and get consistency with his follow-up attacks. Very good. Not really a whole lot right there in terms of particularly towards him. Now, yeah, that does enable him to be put on a follow-up attack team as well as a Castrovis team because of consuming HP and also being targeted primarily. So that's good. But I don't see that as like a specific Blade, like huge buff. I see that more as he's more splashable on other teams, which is broadly speaking very good. The follow-up attacks generate extra energy. Okay, I like this in combination with the previous thing. So now I like the previous buff more. His follow-up attacks now generate extra energy, which helps him recharge his ultimate more easily. Very good. Like I said, just in a vacuum, I think the Kafka buffs are a little bit better, but because of the fact that Blade had the HP buff switched from just attack stuff, but all of his abilities scaling off of the max HP, I think that's a lot better for him just long term, just in general. Silver Wolf, who I think probably needed the most help, but we'll see what happens. The ultimate now hits multiple targets. Her ultimate hits multiple targets and also reduces their defense instead of being single target. I like that. That's pretty big. They can stop her right there, and honestly, that she's a lot better. The issue with Silverwolf is because of the fact that, you know, she came out such a long time ago, she's very power crept at this point. But this ultimate definitely helps because the defense reduction, I think, is the biggest thing. In terms of applying a debuff on the enemy, in terms of applying a new weakness, honestly isn't as valuable as when she was first released. So the defense reduction is huge on all enemies. Next up is the skill prioritizes type of the first character in the party instead of who you are missing or who you have. I like this a lot. So prioritizes the type of the first character in the party, which will most often be your DPS character. Before her debuff would apply, like let's say you have, in this scenario, you have both Silverwolf, Cypher, Aventurine, and you have Acheron. So we can see here that the enemy is already weak to lightning. So what that would mean is that you wouldn't be applying a lightning debuff. You would instead be applying either a no, actually, no, it is quantum. So you're applying lightning because, you know, she's the first character. But previously, what she would do is, all right, you have quantum. So you're not applying a quantum weakness. You're going to be applying either a lightning or a imaginary weakness, because Cypher is also quantum. So these two, they're not even like in the picture. You'd be applying either or. It didn't matter. But because of the fact that you're able to circumnavigate that and actually like make sure you're applying the specific weakness that you want to do with your main DPS character is actually really good. So I do like that about her as well. You're also going to be regenerating energy at the start of the battle and at the beginning of each turn, which helps her recharge her ultimate faster. That's actually really good. Being able to consistently get that ultimate off, being able to reduce the enemy's defense is huge. I really like that as well. Jingliu. All right, this I'm actually pretty excited for. So yeah, let's just see. All of Jingliu's abilities now scale off her max HP instead of her attack. I do like that because of the fact that initially she just would be reducing HP just as itself. So having her scale off her HP, much like Blade, is very good. So that means that she could possibly put on a Castrovis team, which is really good. You are going to be gaining synergy and crit damage when allies lose HP. For each time an ally of Jingliu loses HP, she gains more crit damage and synergy. This gives her more consistency in entering her spectral transmigration state. Huge. That is huge. Being able to give her more crit damage is awesome. So now you can prioritize building crit rate instead of crit damage, or a mix of both. I like that a lot, and the fact that she's able to get another stack of synergy is huge because it was already a pain in the butt as it was, either using the ultimate or the skill. So she was very SP hungry. Now she's pretty SP neutral. Ooh, okay, extra stack. So when Jingliu enters the spectral transmigration state, when she uses her ultimate, she gets an extra stat of synergy while also increasing the max limit of stacks she can obtain by 1. I like that as well. Oh, okay. I really like Jingliu buff. All right, so this is good. This is good. I like the extra stack of the synergy from the talent. I think that's big, but I do think this is probably her biggest thing, followed up by scaling off of HP. So in terms of who I think is the worst, honestly, it's probably Kafka, just because of the fact that Dot isn't very prevalent in today's meta. You want, like, the main team you're going to be running is, we'll go over that later actually, but Dot is definitely underrated in terms of overall potential. I like Dot. I like running the Dot with Acheron. I think that's a very fun team personally. I like it, but broadly speaking, I do think in terms of like damage output capabilities, it's the weakest out of like the main damage dealing teams. Next up, I'm actually going to be putting Silverwolf. I do think Silverwolf's buffs aren't as strong as everybody else's, but because of the fact that in like implementing a defense reduction on everybody is huge, while also being able to implement a new weakness on the enemy and having free range of like picking what that is going to be. I really like that as well. Now's the hard one, honestly, because both of these characters are very strong, but I'm going to be doing this. I think this is probably the best bet, and my explanation for this I think is very justifiable. Jingliu is very strong, being the fact that when she initially came out, she was by far the best DPS character in the game, and she fell off a lot, you know, so that is what it is, very common with Hoyoverse games. But she has two real main teams when it comes to this point. She's able to be run on a Castrovist team and her own individual team. Blade, on the other hand, he can be run on his own team, he can be run on a follow-up attack team, he can also be run on the Castrovist team. I do think the team options with Blade makes him superior to Jingliu, and mainly because of the follow-up attack team. The Castrovist team is very good because they both work very well in tandem with one another, being able to reduce HP, being able to recover that HP with their own abilities. But having additional buffs from a follow-up attack team makes Blade just that much better.